All right, guys, we're gonna get a 2-for-1 today. Because I have to go to work in T minus 10 minutes, and I have time, and I'm already all dolled up, and my bangs are just not cooperating. I put oil in my hair, and half of my hair got too much oil, so that was always fun. Anyway, so the next book I read for my group of friends, we did 1984. I always have a rule, and it's always a personal rule, and to each their own. Like I said, opinions, everybody has them. Um, I always say you can't love the new when you don't respect the old. And what I mean by that, like older music, like my husband and I's song is Can't Help Falling in Love with You by Elvis Presley, but we do the Pentatonics version. It's actually ended up what I walked down the aisle to when we got married the second time. We never got divorced. It was just a JP wedding, and then we did the big old shebang, white dress, corset, on a 97-degree day, and that thing had no airflow. I was sweaty. But I look pretty for the most part. Um, anyway, so now what I mean by that also too is like music. I love old music, but I also love the old. Like I love the new. I respect some of the old because there's some of them I can't stand, like Simon and Garfunkel and stuff. Great songs, Sound of Silence, wonderful. However, I don't like their version, and that's fine. Like that's I respect the song. I love the song. I don't know. I don't like how they sang it, and I know it's their personal song. So I like the Disturbed version, and I know that's super cliche because the rocker chick likes the rocker music, and yeah, true, but still, nah. It's their voices. I just like Brooks and Dunn, same thing. Like I physically cannot. Dwight Yoakam, same thing. Anyway, off topic. I did 1984. So my rule, ever since I've developed into a teenager, into an adult, and stuff like that, I always try to read at least one classic a year. And a lot of the classes I didn't get to read in high school because my high school was kind of weird. I had this amazing senior teacher. She was my senior English teacher, and we weren't the extra special class where it's like we needed help in English, but we weren't the AP honors English. Like we were closer to the AP honors than we were the normal classes. And so she's just like, you know what? Actually, she's now a he. I apologize. He is now like, yeah, you guys pick. What do you guys want to read? So I ended up reading like Truman Capote's In Cold Blood, which was beautiful. Um, Portrait of Dorian Gray, again, beautiful. And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which I totally BS that entire course. And how I passed, I do not know how I passed that quiz, but I did. I didn't read it. I read like snippets. But anyway, so 1984 was my classic for this year. If I read another one, great. If not, I'm good for the year. It started strong, very strong. He did very well. George Orwell. Um, Obviously, classics always do well. But anyway, so very strong. I like the idea of I think it's communist or capitalist. I had this debate with my husband, and I totally forgot. Shows you how much I actually listen to what he says half the time. Um, that that happened. Yeah, anyway, so where everybody's pretty much like you have a certain way you need to think, certain way you need to dress, you have to respect Big Brother, you need to act a certain way during certain things. Like you can't, like you have the thought police, you have like just so much. I end up highlighting half of this stuff and writing it down because I'm not gonna remember any of this, and I don't even know where my notes went. So that tells us how that ended up happening. Um, Started off strong. The second part was really good, with Winston and Julia and how all of the things wanted to turn and switch, and they just didn't want to live in that kind of capitalist world anymore. Yeah, maybe. Um, there was a cat at one point. Anyway, I have ADD, but so yeah. But it like when I got to the last chapter, part 3, I literally just went WTF. Like I know I'm not gonna swear on here, but that was my thought process. I'm like, what just happened? Like what the heck? Like I don't even know what just happened. Like I literally just sat there and like read the first page from that part 3 like 4 times. I'm like, I'm so confused. I okay. And Like, it had me and then it lost me. So, like, it got to the point where I wanted to read it. Like, I just couldn't put it down. I was walking around my Kindle. That's why I don't have the copy of the book in my lovely little hands here. Because I read it on my Kindle. It was like $2 on Kindle. So I'm like, yeah, let's do this. But, like, I wanted to read it. I couldn't put it down for the first couple parts. And then I hit halfway through part 2. And I just didn't really want to read it. And I just wasn't my thing. And I think my previous video, I ranted about how I needed to read stuff for school. So I was like looking at my school books going, you know what? We're going to suffer through this and I'm going to try to read it. It's like 255 pages. I have 100 pages left. Like, that was my motivation, is I have 100 pages left. I have 50 pages left. Like, and that's a really bad motivation for me with a book. Like, if I have to force myself to at least read a chapter a day or 50 pages a day or anything, set myself for a goal by the end of the day, how much I should have read or should try to read. That means my interest in the book has died. And I'm now just reading it so I can finish it and just say I've read it. And that's not how we have nice things in my little world. So I respect the book. I'm glad I read it. I wasn't a fan, to be honest. It's one of my husband's favorite books. He has like that one in Inkheart. I've never read that. I own them. I'm staring at them actually currently. They're behind a giraffe, not an actual giraffe, stuffed giraffe. It's a TBR pile. My entire bookshelf is a TBR pile. Let's just go with that one. But anyway, so I recommend reading it for the sole purpose of anarchy and the thought police and stuff like that, because that's how society is going. It's not the government, but however, it's the people and these snowflakes that live in them. And I have a very strong opinion about those. So if you can tell by my facial expressions, they're not good opinions. I work for an escape room, so yeah, it's gotten stronger in the past 7 months. But anyway, but yeah, I recommend reading it for just the thought of, yeah, I've read this book, or yeah, I want to read this book, or it's good to look back on. And then 1984 is quoted in a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, a lot of other books, that it's good to have the synopsis and the ideals of having that book underneath your belt. So you're sitting there knowing exactly, okay, so this is what happened. Oh, that's what that book's about. So that's what he's referring to. Like, I recommend doing that. Like I said, it starts strong. And I'm not a big classic reader. Like, I love Thomas Hardy, however, but, George Orwell, not a big fan. Never really have been a big fan. I've read a couple of his excerpts here and there, but it never tickled my fancy. But now that remembering the movies that I've watched and the TV shows that I've seen and the books that I've read where 1984 is quoted, I now get the synopsis of what they were trying to portray in that scene or that monologue or that dialogue or that novel or anything like that. Like, I understand now. And I'm all the wiser for it, and I'm glad I read the book. If you are reading the book for fun and you don't really watch the stuff that I watch, which I remember half the stuff I watch, it's a tough read. But I recommend it. Like I said, you can't love the new when you can't respect the old. So I say read it. I say have some fun. If you need to set yourself a goal for every day to read it, do it. Like, the chapters aren't that long. I think the only chapter that was ridiculously long, and it wasn't even ridiculously long, it was like 20 pages, 30 pages, was chapter 10 of part 2. Chapter 9. 9 or 10 of part 2. I remember that because it took me forever to get through it, and I can't stop on, like, the middle of the book. Like, I have to stop on a chapter. Because I am OCD, and I am weird, and that's just who I am as a person. The book I'm reading now, I keep stopping, like, in the middle of the chapter, but it's like a nonfiction book, so I can do that. But anyway, don't attack your brother. Sorry. So yeah, I would say read it, and I would say have some fun with it, and get down to business. But definitely leave me comments below on this book. I always love hearing what people have to say about classics and seeing the different mindsets that people have in regards to them. But obviously, we don't like to have bad things said, so please don't. And yeah, have a great day.